Mm.
Hi, my beautiful
Hello.
cosmic Sis-Star all the way from Mesa, Arizona, and myself, Anne, from Greece, still here, sweating, but not as much as you, I guess, right?
Yeah.
So welcome everybody to the Cosmic Sis-Star show with Corinne and Anne, and a conversation today that invites stillness, awareness, and gentle empowerment. In this luminous gathering, we step into the quiet power of the observer, the part of us that sees without absorbing, listens without collapsing, and understands without losing center. Becoming the observer is not detachment from life, but a deeper arrival into it. It is the art of neutrality, a soft, spacious state where clarity replaces reactivity and truth can finally be heard. Tonight we explore how neutrality becomes a sacred inner posture, how witnessing ourselves with compassion dissolves old patterns, and how presence transforms every interaction. When we stop taking things personally, we begin to see the world as it truly is, not as our wounds interpret it. From this vantage point, life becomes lighter, choices become clearer, cleaner, and our energy remains sovereign. And today we have Wednesday, July 1st. Happy month, everybody. Um, so we crossed 6 months today, right? So we're leaving half
Yes.
a year behind. And July 1st in US and Europe, and Thursday, July 2nd in our future, Australia, down under. And today we're going to talk about becoming the observer, the art of neutrality, plus your questions. So if you want to ask us anything or interact in the chat, don't hesitate. Come on, just write. And we try to answer the best we can. Our last show on Cosmic Guardians and Cosmic Sis-Stars was last Wednesday, June 24th. And we talked about sacred shielding, the art of spiritual hygiene and protection. So, kind of each and every time, even though we don't plan it that way, this is actually guidance all the time. So, we just pick what feels most accurate, the senses are picking. So guidance comes in, and each and every topic we have is a chain. So one thing leads to the other that comes and it goes along. That's absolutely stunning and beautiful.
Yes.
We do go live on YouTube every week at youtube.com/@cosmicguardians111/streams and youtube.com/@angelplaceonearth/streams. And of course, we stream the replay after the show at facebook.com/cosmic guardians. So, like we always like to do, let's take a soft breath together and arrive fully into this moment and dive deep into today's show.
Yes. I have a question for you. What does it
You have a
feel
question.
like
Good.
to be the loving observer? To me, it's the embodiment of discernment. As observers, we hold that sacred space for others, and we are able to allow them to experience their journey without any interference. To lovingly hold that space for their dreams and feelings and life to unfold. I mean, I know anytime that we sit and we're observing a sunrise or a sunset, we're experiencing the grandeur and the brilliance, and we can feel that essence of that unconditional love that just encapsulates our very being. To be the observer, we also are the receiver. And it is that silent space holding energy and not burdening others with the heaviness of our past, anything that might damper their experience. We're free of that. And we allow them to be in the moment, almost as the cheer squad, silently supporting them while they're making their own journey. And it's a beautiful place to be, and it's very peaceful and calm when you actually are able to go through finding yourself, go through letting go of the heaviness that you carry around, and then becoming detached from the outcome. That allows the observer to go, ah, now they're ready to be part of everything, but from a point of loving support.
Beautiful. And there's a profound shift that happens the very moment when we stop identifying with every thought, every worry, every emotion, every sensation that moves through us. It is subtle at first, almost like a soft inner click, a gentle turning of awareness. Yet, this shift marks one of the most powerful thresholds in spiritual evolution. It is the moment we begin to live as the observer rather than the reactor, the
Mhm.
witness rather than the one entangled in every passing wave. And I can tell you guys that this may be one of the most challenging ones because we want to be in control, usually, speaking very generally now, right?
Yes.
So when we take the position of the observer, my way of stating is I take a step back and I just see a bigger picture
Yeah.
because we don't hold on to the energies. So we let the energies work for us. And that means we don't need to struggle. We don't need to fight. But we need to let go of that control of ours, right?
Okay.
Because when we want to have control over everything, that's when all those, emotions, thoughts, everything kicks in. And it makes our journey way more challenging, to be honest, way more challenging. So, one more,
Yes.
sorry. To become the observer is to step into the spaciousness of our own consciousness. It is to recognize that you are not the storm, but the sky that holds it. You are not the thought, but the awareness in which the thought appears. You are not the emotion, but the presence that feels it without becoming it. This is neutrality, not as indifference, but as clarity. A clarity that frees you from the constant pull of the world and returns you to the stillness of your own center.
That's so well said, because when we are perfectly present in the now, we're free from dipping into that myriad of past experiences because we've done our homework, and our past experiences aren't really going to help what's going on now. When we stay focused, we then are able to be that non judgmental observer. And we step into this vastness when our consciousness becomes uncluttered and we are now a sacred, limitless being in a never ending expansion of our consciousness, our perceptions. Our perceptions broaden and they allow us to encapsulate possibilities that have no boundaries.
Beautiful. So neutrality is very, very, very often misunderstood. Some believe it means not caring, not feeling, or withdrawing from life. So taking that step back, that is not withdrawing from life, but it's the opposite. It is allowing, your favorite word, allowing life to unfold. And another way to express that, letting the energies work for you, because even though we want to have that wonderful control, we can never have control over everything. We can't.
No.
True
And
neutrality is the opposite of not caring, not feeling, and withdrawing from life. It is the ability to feel deeply without losing yourself. It is the ability to care without collapsing into the weight of what you care about. It is the ability to see clearly without the distortion of old stories, our old stories, fears, or expectations. Neutrality is the art of meeting life as it is, without adding layers of interpretation that cloud your vision, right?
perfect. Perfect. And well said, because as observers, when we begin to understand the feeling of neutrality, and we are in this place, there is no judgment, no right or wrong, good or bad, black or white. We're just in the present, and we can bring the most blessed moments to the present. No expectations, like you said, no demands, no hurry, no conflict, just taking in the present moments as they are around, and not trying to put them into categories, not trying to fix it, not trying to assume that we know more than we than the other person, and then proving that we're the hero. Um, I have seen this happen when we do our meditations, and happy birthday, Greg Braden, and I'm going to be talking about you again.
Yes.
And
Happy birthday.
yes, and the point of being is that when you are in this neutral state and you are observing, you can have the feelings and you hold this energy. During meditation, I'm not guiding these people into meditation. All I am doing is holding the energy for them to be able to touch a higher vibration than maybe they can. And when we do meditation, we're not going, okay, I'm meditating that, we get more rain. I'm meditating that, because there is no asking, no controlling. There is allowing, my word,
Yes.
allowing the energy to be used where it needs to be used and touch what it needs to touch, and just holding that. And in my feeling, this is part of being the observer, is just holding the energy and not saying, well, if I'm going to hold this energy for you, then you got to do this or you got to do that. And that's when it becomes useless. But in,
Exactly. That's when it comes with conditions.
exactly.
Yes. So when you become the observer, when you take that step back, you begin to notice the patterns that once ran your life, but
Oh,
you're not participating as you usually did, right? You just
yeah.
see them, you observe them, you see the thoughts that repeat themselves, the emotional loops that arise from old wounds, the reactions that come from habit rather than truth. You see them not with judgment, but with curiosity. And in that seeing, something loosens, something softens, something begins to transform because you release at the same time as you're not, you kind of pick and choose where you interact, if you would state it in that way. You don't jump in with both feet into everything. All those thoughts of worry that tend to be like a spiral or a loop for so many, you can see them and you're going to make a new choice. Because the thing is, and this is really important, when we see things and our awareness about ourselves, we can always make new choices. Always.
Yes. And I find that when I'm in a neutral state, it's not being indifferent, not at all. It is the gracious art of non-interference. Hail to Star Trek. We will not we will not interfere. And and having watched that a lot, I mean, I never understood they were observers, but that kind of gives an example of staying, just taking note and just being there. But to me, it means holding that energy, because a lot of people, when they're going through challenges, they really can't muster up that connection with the divine, because they're so mucked down with all of the this is what's happening. So if you can hold that, it's like holding the sun to shine, but not telling the sun, okay, now you need to go over here and you need to do that, and that plant needs a little bit more. There's no direction. You're just holding that so it can shine on everything. And and believe me, having when I'm in that neutrality, life is so much simpler.
It is. It is.
It really is. It really is. And I still have all the emotions that were divinely given to humans, but they're true emotions. They're not coming from fear or anger or guilt. They're coming from, I'm experiencing that at that moment. The joy of seeing a flower open, the the ecstasy of hearing a very small child laugh, and they laugh
Yes.
so spontaneously. Um, these are the things that when you are in a neutral state, you're not saying, well, what's coming next? Where are we going to go? How should I fix that? There's no judgment. I love it. It's really nice.
It's perfect. And when you become the observer, you do not suppress things.
No.
You do not deny. You are simply watching with presence, with being there, right?
Yes.
And presence is transformative. Presence is also what's going to create the future. So when we are hanging on to old stuff, or we want to know what's going to be tomorrow, we are not present. And that can create a lot of worry by itself. So that control and worry dissolves. Presence dissolves what is false and strengthens what is real. Presence reveals the difference between your conditioned self and your authentic self. Presence brings you back to the now, where your power lives. And also, being neutral means that you are, neutrality is also a form of protection. So when you are anchored in the observer state, external energies cannot easily hook into you, because it's not because you don't care, but it's because you are so strong in yourself, so you're not reacting. You respond if you want to, but that's totally different, right?
Mhm.
So you become less reactive, less pulled, less influenced by the emotional weather around you. You become a steady field rather than a sponge. And a lot of people are sponges, sucking up things, right? And as a sensitive, yes, we do, but there's a way of mastering. And
That's right.
this is what we're talking about today. You become a lighthouse rather than a mirror. And this is not detachment from life, but mastery within itself.
Yes. And being present and being in the now is is an art form in itself. Uh, I'm sure that if people actually were listening to the conversations that they have with someone else, when someone else says something, they're already starting to formulate an answer to it. But they're going word by word. They haven't really heard the feeling behind what it is. So they're not being in the present moment or in the now. They're anticipating what they're going to add to the conversation. And being present, you're just watching things unfold while holding that protection, uh, for lack of a better word, a better word will come, but holding this cocoon around someone so they can do what they need to do and do it with support, but not with actually holding them up. And it's different because when you when you realize that you're watching something as an observer and you watch the sunrise. Now that I use that because we physically can't. Well, that's another story. But we can't go up there and repaint everything that we see. We are just there going, oh, wow, and being in that neutral receiving state, and like watching an egg hatch. If anyone has ever been around where they're raising chickens and ducks and geese and all of these things, you know that you never help that little chick get out of the egg, because getting out of the egg is strengthening it for its journey after it's out of the egg.
Yes.
So we observe, but we don't get in there and muck it up because we think we're, have the need to fix things. And I guarantee you, when you don't have to go around carrying all the tools to fix everybody, uh, your load is certainly a lot lighter.
Exactly. And I want to chime something in here because since a couple of days we are in the blessed Mercury retrograde.
Okay.
Congratulations, everybody.
Yes.
And many times we consider Mercury retrograde like a negative force, like a challenging energy, But there are always some blessings. And I can actually say that the blessing this time is the topic we're talking about, being the observer, going within,
Yeah.
being neutral. It fits very well with this energy. So if we don't fight the energies this time, Mercury retrograde, we can benefit from it. So I'm just going to read a little bit from something here. Um, this retrograde arrives in the nurturing sign of Cancer right now, this time. It's from June 29th until July 23rd. And Cancer bringing focus to home, family, and emotional foundations. Cancer is deeply connected to memory and the past. So this retrograde often stirs old stories and unresolved emotions. But Mercury retrograde also is a very introvert energy. So going within is excellent during this energy, actually.
Mhm.
communication is affected, and communication with loved ones may feel sensitive, and misunderstandings can arise if words are spoken without care. It doesn't mean that we are supposed to be afraid of what we say, including talking to ourselves. But it's important to know, if I have a very deep and important conversation with someone, I need to make sure that they received what I'm saying in the way that I intended.
Yes.
Because a misunderstanding can be like they are interpreting it in their own way, right?
Yes.
So it's all about emotions.
Wow. And we are definitely guided by our emotions, and thank goodness for all of the wonderful emotions that we do have. But staying in that neutral state allows us to be in an uncluttered way, and therefore we can really, there again, when we're especially speaking to someone, we can listen to what they're saying, and we can hear it in the way that it is coming through and not through our filter. And it really helps. As I said, you don't have to be on guard and go, well, I need to this and I need to fix that, when you are just there to be of assistance. And it's a very interesting thing, and I didn't realize that I practice it all the time. When something happens, and instead of reacting to it, I'll go, well, that was interesting.
Yes.
And I'm going, that really is showing neutrality, because whatever will come, I'm not judging whether we're going to go left or right or up or down. It's just, well, that was interesting. And I had no idea that over all these years, when I say that I'm literally putting myself in a state of neutrality.
Yeah, you
And
do.
but having this conversation, I'm going, wow, that's kind of my go-to words, uh, and it helps me look at something as an observer rather than, well, why in the world did I just fall on my face? What did I do? And what I have to do and everything else? It was go, well, that's going to leave a bruise. I mean, I had no idea that I'm actually very much living what I'm talking about. And thank you for bringing this to mind, because I just thought I was a little different, which I know I am. But it is true. When something comes up, I mean, I know all the facts, I know the pros and the cons, but I go into that place of simple, non-resistant, non-judgmental. Well, that was interesting.
You are stepping into that with an open mind, and you are not assuming or expecting a certain outcome
Yeah,
from it, right?
correct.
Because that's when we get a little bit grumpy sometimes, or when we have expectations, particularly when it comes to other people, right? But actually, just like you, having these conversations, and specifically when we went through the four agreements and
Yes.
prophecy, which we both read, you longer time than I, right? In the back in time. But for me, it's also many, 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 many years. But it's interesting to see. It's fascinating that we are actually living in this way, and that
Yeah,
shows that if we can, well, anybody can. We
that's
just
right.
need to pay attention and have some patience with ourselves, right?
Yes.
Because, and I heard this from many people, and I kind of try to remind people I talk to over the phone that, because they have so much patience with other people, right? But they they shower them with patience and understanding, but they don't shower themselves with
It's true.
patience and understanding. So this journey also needs you to be kind to yourself. Remember that. So as you deepen into the observer, you start to experience life with more spaciousness because you're not holding on. Conversations become clearer. How great when we are in a Mercury retrograde period, right?
Yep.
Choices become easier. Emotions become teachers rather than threats. Even challenges become invitations to expand rather than reasons to contract. You begin to trust yourself more because you are no longer lost in the noise of the mind that worries. You are rooted in the quiet truth beneath it.
That's very true. And I find one of the joys of this spiritual journey that I have embarked upon, and when I'm able to observe the joy of watching someone meeting their authentic self, again, I love that little giggle from a baby. It just makes everything seem right. But when I watch them find their journey, their way, I hear the angels sing. And I am privy to this because I am observing. I'm not calculating. I'm not directing. I'm not, you know, uh, telling them to do this or to that. And it's a beautiful place to be. Um, and it just came to mind, if you're sitting and you're hearing this beautiful symphony and you're just absorbing it as to, well, they hit a B flat and it should have been a B sharp, and making judgments along the way, you miss the whole essence of being there and receiving that joy of being the observer. So it's, you become the light, but you do not become just a reflection.
Yes.
And this is beautiful.
And we are way more than reflections, right? So,
Oh, absolutely.
so one could also say that the art of neutrality is the art of returning to yourself, to your essence, the diamond within. It is the remembrance that you are consciousness first, identity second. Consciousness first, identity second. It is
Exactly.
the practice of meeting each moment with openness rather than resistance. Because if I'm expecting a certain outcome, that's going to place me straight away into resistance. And when I resist, I focus a whole lot on what I don't want to. And that's when I'm going to hold on to that for a longer time. So it is the willingness to see without immediately reacting, to feel without immediately interpreting, to experience without immediately attaching meaning. Because if 10,000 people will do those things, there will be 10,000 interpretings, 10,000 experiences, and 10,000 attachings, right?
Correct. Yes. We are so fortunate to be in this time and space. And we were talking about it meditation last night, that the people that are on planet Earth at this time, we chose to be here because the big shift is actually happening. And I remember having visions of what things were going to be like way before I even understood that they were more than just just wow, that was And I have no idea where that came from. And I had really not the awareness that I was going to be participating in this. Because if you go back through the thousands of years of journaling and writing, and everyone said this and this and this and this, and it's always out there, out there. Well, it is now here. And we came to be of service to humanity in whatever divine way that we came. And part of it is being able to be non reactive. I mean, if I were to sit and listen to the news, that warrior in me would probably, well, we got to change it. We got to fix that. We got to, this is wrong and everything else. Rather than observing that this is part of the master plan, because things have to literally be cleaned away before the light can shine. And it's one of those places where if you get too emotionally involved with what am I going to do? How am I going to do this? Why did I do ask every now and then. I look at my contract and I say, is it up yet? You know? But apparently I chose to be part of what's going on now. And
Yes.
As the observer, as the energy holder, as the light bearer, but even when I am working with my clients, I'm not telling them what to do. I'm shining a light on the possibilities for them to be able to see themselves.
Yes.
And I know that's not the way to make a lot of money, because I don't say, okay, you have to come back and see me every week for the rest of your life. But I'm helping set them free so then they can start shining their light. And there's a whole difference in being able to hold that energy and not have expectations of what the other people have to do. And it's I'm very grateful for all of the teachings and the learnings and the experiences that I've had that have made it so I can sit back and go, well, that was interesting. You know?
Beautifully said. And you said it so wonderfully, because no one can tell someone else. And because I do what I do over the phone as well,
Yeah.
I don't want people to feel an attachment to me, the need to call me all the time and ask for things. Because I always say that I'm going to tell you what I can see and what's the most probable outcome from where you are at right now if you don't change anything. But I
Yes,
want you to make your choices,
absolutely.
because I'm not going to make them for you, right? That wouldn't be correct. And any outcome can be changed if we are changing direction, small choices, big choices, you name it. So we always have the power within to respond and take action in certain ways, right?
Yes.
But a good way of reaching there and mastering is to become the observer and grow your neutrality, because in the space of neutrality and being the observer, your life becomes lighter, way easier. Not because circumstances change, because the world is not going to change until the world wants to, but because your relationship to the world and others have changed. You begin to move through the world with a grounded softness, a steady clarity, a knowing, a quiet strength, and you are not being affected in the same way. Yes, of course we are sometimes, we do. I react sometimes for 1 minute, I can say dirty things. if just to get it out of my system, because
Okay.
as you mentioned at the beginning here, we are blessed with all our divine senses. And that means that some of us have a little bit of temper, some of us are a little bit stubborn, but that's okay. The thing is, we don't want to be caught in that loop and to stay there and being in resistance, because
Yeah.
being in resistance means that we're going to remain in that spot for as long as it takes for us to release ourselves, right?
Yeah.
By choice.
And I find that where being the observer and staying in that neutral place is so critical as a master teacher of universal Reiki. This is one of the most challenging things that I try to impart to my students is when you are working with someone, stay neutral, allowing the Reiki energy to do what it needs to do and not say, well, I'm sending this to your big toe or I'm sending this to your kidney, and staying completely neutral and lovingly observe what is happening with the energy without prejudice. And when I'm putting my hands over someone and I feel something, it's not like, oh my goodness, they've got a kidney stone. Oh, well, we need to work on that. No, I stay neutral. I allow the energy to do what it is, because that maybe that kidney stone came from something else that needs to be addressed before the kidney stone, so to speak.
Yes. Yes.
So staying neutral is a divine gift. And the more neutral you are, the more energy can do what it needs to do, because I'm not interfering with where this energy is going. But as that divine observer, I may be making adjustments to where my hands are directed to go, because I'm observing, well, maybe we go here, and so they work hand in hand. And without them, you become just a worker on people. You do not become involved in the energy flowing and the release. So it's critical. It really is an important thing. But boy, it does definitely take away all of the, oh, did I do that right? Should I this? Where am I going? What am I, and all of those questions that humans have a
Exactly.
tendency to ask
And
themselves.
and all those questions people usually have: what did they think about me? Did I perform correctly? Did I do my best?
Uh-huh.
Am
Yeah.
I okay? How do they think about me? Things of that nature, right? Just be you.
Yeah,
And
we do have a tendency to do that a lot.
so, in the space of being a neutral observer, you become the calm in your own inner landscape. You become the witness of your own unfolding. You become the one who sees. You become the one that in that seeing you awaken. Perfect.
I apologize. I
That's
thought
okay.
this was off, and it was not off. I tried sitting on it, but it didn't work. So I'm, I'm turning it
That's okay. That was actually funny,
off.
right?
Ooh, hey, sometimes I love the humor of the universe, and it says, "Wait a minute, you get a little too serious about that. Let's just uh, do something a little different." And there again, see, instead of going, "Oh, it ruined the show and everything else," I go, "Well, that was interesting." But
Yeah,
yes,
because in the this life on earth, things happen. They do. Things
that's
happen.
right.
And because we are a little bit sensitive to the energy of Mercury retrograde, we felt it for a couple of before it started. So actually, I think I adjusted myself. So now things are falling into place. But it was chaotic for some time. But it's no use of trying to fight, because that's what we're doing when we step into resistance. We fight something,
Yeah.
maybe in a subtle way, or it may be um, bringing all our energy to trying to fight it, right?
Yes.
But it's not going to be conducive.
But when you said that, it brought to mind the martial art form of Aikido. And Aikido, now I'm just a little tiny bit of my brief knowledge of Aikido, but Aikido is an art form that when you're attacked, instead of resisting it and fighting back, you kind of let it flow. You just turn. So if an attacker is coming at you and they're coming full force like this, and you turn your body, that force is going to keep them, and they're going to, destroy themselves when they fall. And
Sorry for laughing.
I know, but it's true. And I started utilizing that in conversation. And just a real quick story: when I was a nail technician, the owner of the shop was an interesting individual, but he was always trying to put people down. And the good news is that I was an independent worker, so no matter what he said or did, it wasn't like he was going to cut my salary or something. So I'm in the break room and I'm having a bagel, and he comes in and he goes, if you eat that bagel, you're going to get fat. And I looked at him and I said, probably. And he just kind of squirmed. And then he sat down and he said, you really ought to watch what you're eating. And I said, but why, Mike? You're doing such a great job for me. Well, he had no place to go with it. The conversation ended. And he left, and the three ladies that were in the break room at the same time, they could not stop laughing, because nobody would ever go up against Mike. Now, I didn't have to get angry. I didn't have to fight. I just had to, yeah, okay, fine, fall on your face. But when you're in that neutral place, it's almost as if you're fluid, and you're not taking what happened and reacting to it, and then losing that calm by, oh well, and everything else. You let it move through and go where it needs to go. And
I
yeah.
used to train a lot on those situations at the train station where I was
Oh
selling.
yes.
My goodness, that was a good school, actually,
Good
because you
school.
can't take things personally at all. You can't. And you have to find a way to resonate to stuff that's going on, right?
Yes.
And you meet a lot of people, and some people, they just want to get to you. They just want you to get angry. And I remember a few times, and I was laughing within. And I said, someone called me. I don't even remember what they called me. And I said, okay, thank you. Now I know. Next.
Yes. And it's interesting, because we're talking about being neutral and staying in that state of neutral, but you neutralize also by being, if you're in that state of calm and you're not going to, I have to put my dukes up and I have to be ready. If you're in that calmness, then nothing, if you choose that nothing is going to disrupt that calmness, that neutral place, it won't. But
No,
if you allow it to, because we yes, there are times when it doesn't seem like you have a choice, but you do have a choice in how you respond to it. So
exactly.
yeah.
Perfectly said. Um, my way of stating that would be because we don't have control over everything, right?
Nope.
But we do have control over our response.
That's
And
right.
maybe not, it's a choice. I can choose how I'm going to respond. Am I going to let someone calling me something ruin my entire day? Or am I going to just ignore it or push it back? To one guy one time, I think he had a few drinks and he came and he wanted to buy some candy. We had an automated thing. We didn't have anything to do with that, with the ticket office, right? So he put in some money and he didn't get his chocolate or whatever he wanted to buy, and he came to me and I said to him very nice, uh, I can't help you with that. I can't refund you or give you anything for it because it's not our machine. It's just sitting there. But there are instructions and a phone number. And I have the phone numbers here so I can write it on a paper for you so you can call them. And he started calling me ugly names.
Uh-huh.
And he ended up with saying, "You who are so ugly." And I said, "Thank you so much. And I'm in good company then, ain't I?"
I remember when my daughter was 7 or 8, and uh, I gave her a phrase to use because she was very very intelligent, so she could handle using that kind of phrasing. And of course, the other 7-year-olds wouldn't understand it. But I said, if there is a difference in opinion, you say, I appreciate your opinion, and thank you very much. That's just not my opinion. And then be able to
Yeah.
go. And that many words to a 7-year-old, they go, what is she? Oh, this, we don't, can't bother with this because we can't get her riled up. But it is, everybody's in. And I go around, it's none of my business what people think of me. I mean, I'm kind and considerate and everything else. But if they have an opinion of what I'm wearing or what I'm saying or whatever, it's none of my business. They're entitled to their opinion. I just don't have to respond to it or react to it. And it's a little hard when you're in a cage, though, and they're right in your face.
Yes.
But look at all of the wonderful training that you got.
Exactly, exactly. I got a lot of training. So,
Hands on.
yes, hands on. So, are you ready for the hot seat?
Ah, yes,
Yes, you are.
yes, yes,
So, we always have five simple reflective questions. I consider them simple.
yes.
That will help us um, go through what we have been talking about today. They are not only for me and Corinne, they are also for all of you watching and listening. So please ponder about them for yourself.
Yes.
First question: what happens inside you when you pause and simply observe instead of reacting?
Me personally, my heart rate slows. Uh, my breathing is not as rapid, and there is almost like a universal energy hug that says, "You're okay. Just regain your composure, become in the present, and find that." I think the feeling of being protected and being in that space where, when I go into a neutral place, that calm and that peace that is with me, and the minute I do it, I find that the whole situation changes. They're not even aware of it, but it's like a little and then everything becomes a more
Easier.
negotiable situation.
Yeah. Wonderful. So, where in your life do you feel most invited to practice neutrality right now?
Ah, oh, every day. There's a song for every phrase, and every day it's getting better. Um, but every day I'm given the opportunity to practice that, to practice it. Uh, I've got my daughter moving in, and so that's going to take some negotiation, especially in Mercury retrograde. I've got someone that helps me, and he has a very difficult time understanding things. I can show him how to do things, and then he has to be shown and shown and shown and shown. Um, and staying neutral allows me to be of assistance to him because he's able to come and do things, but also keeps me from, going off the deep end and going, okay, this is, forget it, I'm walking away. So it's like I'm constantly being given opportunities to practice what I preach. And as you say, we are human, and there are times when all the practice in the world isn't going to keep you from making that fumble. But uh, I just, like I said, I go, well, that's going to leave a mark, and get up and just keep on going. But
Yes.
it's wow, that
Um,
was a good one.
that was a good one, right?
Yep.
Beautifully said. And how does your energy shift when you witness a situation without taking it personally?
Oh, that's that's beautifully written, and I have to say that again, back to the, when I don't take it personally and realize that they've got stuff going on with them, and they're coming from their own experiences, and it's not about me. There again, it's like what they're projecting towards me, it kind of dissipates. I don't feel the emotional need to respond. I don't feel I have to fight. I don't have to make defenses. I don't have to agree or disagree. I just let it come, and then as it comes close to my energy, it just kind of, falls away. And by staying in that state, it allows another person to do what they need to do also, and keeps a relationship maybe able to be repaired because you're not responding to it and fighting back. And thank you, universe. You've given me many opportunities, especially this last month, to to work with that. And every time I run into a situation like that, I honestly, I honestly go back and say, I am so grateful for the Celestine prophecy. I'm so grateful for the four agreements. I'm so grateful for having worked on working with these tools, that when I need that tool, I can find it. And I don't have to go through weeks of self banging on the head. Why didn't I? Should I? This and everything else. Because I realize I've used my tool, and then go from there. I'm sorry, I got a little emotional about that.
That is perfectly beautiful. Thank you so much. Um, so, fourth question: what helps you stay centered when emotions around you rise or swirl? Maybe you did answer that one too, or you answered if you want to.
Okay, well, uh, the first thought was just put a cocoon around myself and and ignore the whole situation. Um, but we all have those, and you know, I'm going to throw that right back at you. What helps
Thank
you
you.
stay centered when the emotions around you rise?
I
Or
actually take that step back. Uh,
little
trying,
Aikido
trying,
there, huh?
yeah, trying to become the observer, not reacting at once, right? I may eventually have, I would call it maybe a considered response to something. If I have to, maybe I declare some frameworks for myself. I mean, for my surroundings, if that would be something I encounter. But I wouldn't, if I got angry or I did react, I would detach myself a little bit
Yeah.
just to calm down, because there's nothing to gain in one or more parties screaming and yelling to each other, right? But I probably would, if someone would be screaming to me to the point they would be rude, yeah, I would make a statement in a later, um, after a little bit of time, so to speak. Um, because I think we can't just, it's not that we have to react, right? But sometimes we also need to put up the framework and our boundaries for certain things. But I would actually, if I would encounter something like that, um, staying calm myself, but also observing, because when you do observe, you can make choices about things. When you're not calm, you can't make those choices because you're going to make them from a reaction place, right? That's not going to be very good. There's the most probabilities that you're going to make some choice or say something that you will regret in a
Yeah.
later state, right? So
Yes.
anyway, last question. How does becoming the observer open space for clearer choices and softer outcomes?
Ah, okay. The way that I see an observer is watching scenarios happen. So you've got a broader view of what's going on. It's like when you read a book and they give you the backstory and they give the forward story and then they bring the characters in and they play it and you go, well, if this character would just not react that way, maybe they could get to it, because you're looking at it and you're seeing the whole picture. And I think by being the observer, you have a lot more clarity of what possible outcomes could happen because you're seeing the forces from a lot of different directions. And um, and to me, when I step into the observer and it brings that quiet, there's a quietening of the mind and a quietening of the soul, and I'm able to understand that as this situation works itself out, there are many possibilities and some that you can't even see even from the spot of observing.
Yeah.
And by moving away from it and not getting involved in it, that is a very freeing state, I think, for myself. And I'm sorry, all these words were coming in, Mercury, you're going to have to put them out there, and so they have some meaning. I'm listening to the words that I'm saying, and I'm going, okay, how is the sequence happening here? So thank you, Mercury, for playing with me. I enjoyed that. We had fun. Okay, so if you want to add to that, so it's a little more clear, that would be great.
No, it's okay. I think that, um, it does help because we don't react in that moment, right? And
Right.
we see things, you could say, I say, taking a step back, seeing a wider perspective. You could say also that you raise yourself and you see things from a helicopter perspective. That's another way of expressing it. But it
Yes.
really does help, um, because we can't assume that our way of having a perception of something is going to be the only truth, right? Because we have
Correct.
different ways of seeing things. We are all unique. By the way, do you want to read the affirmation?
May I? May I
Yes.
please? I love reading your words. I breathe into the quiet center within me, and I allow life to unfold without pulling me off a balance. I witness my thoughts, my emotions, and my surroundings with soft neutrality and spacious awareness. I choose clarity over reaction, presence over projection, and the truth over old patterns. In every moment, I remain anchored in my own calm field, free, steady, and sovereign.
Oh, thank you.
Beautiful.
Perfect. Well, my beautiful, precious sister and co host, cosmic being and cosmic angel, I have many names for you. Is there anything else we want to say today, or do
Uh,
you think we're wrapping this up?
the universe will give us an opportunity at a later time to add to and bring forth, and I fully trust the divine intervention and intuition that we're given. So can say it's time to sign off.
But don't go yet. We have some more things to say here before
Yep.
everybody goes, right?
Yes.
So you can find upcoming and past episodes at youtube.com/ at Cosmic Guardians 111 / streams. youtube.com/ at Angel Place on Earth / streams, and angelplaceonearth.com / upcoming dash past. Connect with us, read articles, find out more about Karina and myself at angelplaceonearth.com / cosmic guardians. And you can find Corinne Mooney at liquidenergyhealing.com. We have streamed 2 series, and one of them were the Celestial Prophecy, 12 Insights, and the other one was the 4 Agreements, and we actually streamed the 5th Agreement earlier this year.
Hmm.
So find our series at angelplaceonearth.com / series cosmic guardians. Next upcoming show with your cosmic sisters, Karina and myself, is going to be next Wednesday, July 8th, and we talk about conversations with the higher self. See, everything lines up. It's a
Yes.
chain. We do go live for you every Wednesday in US and Europe, and every Thursday early morning in Australia. And as we gently close this circle, breathe into the spaciousness you've touched tonight. The observer within you is awake, calm, clear, and beautifully present. You have felt how neutrality is not distance, but deep connection without entanglement. You have witnessed how awareness softens old reactions and opens new pathways. And you have remembered that your center is always available, always steady, always yours. Carry this clarity into the moments ahead. Let your presence be your guide. Let your neutrality be your strength. Let your inner stillness be the place you return to again and again and again. Thank you for being here with us in this gentle exploration until we meet again in the next cosmic conversation next week. With infinite love, peace, and joy, we see you, we hear you, we honor you, we love you, we appreciate you. Namaste. Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.